A theme is the message that an author intends to convey to the reader. The ability to identify a theme in a text is one of the key tools that a reader can use to understand something. So let's look forward and see how we can find a theme in any given text. So the first thing we'd like to address is the idea of a topic versus a theme. Lots of times when a teacher asks the students to come up with a theme, they accidentally come up with topics. Maybe somewhere along the line they learned that that was a topic, that it wasn't a topic, it was a theme. That's okay. We're going to talk about how to turn those topics into themes. So if I say, what's the theme? Someone might say love, death, innocence. As you may have guessed, these are some of the potential topics that are associated with William Maxwell's love. However, a topic is not a theme. Because it's the message that the author wants to convey to the reader, there's no way that there's a message behind just the word love. What about love? We're not quite sure. These are examples of topics, not themes. Here are some tips for finding actual themes. Ask yourself this question: what does the author want the reader to learn or understand after reading his or her text? If you ask that question, that'll really help you try to get an idea of what a theme is. If we're looking for the message, that makes sense as a tool to find the theme. The title may be a hint. Sometimes you're lucky. I think in the case of love, it really is a hint. I think that that's one of the major topics in the story, and then that can be transformed into a theme. You can also ask yourself, what does the main character learn? If the main character goes through a conflict and comes out a changed person, how have they changed, and how has what happened to them changed them, and what message would they take away? So if the character had to say at the end of the story, what I learned from this story is, the answer is often the theme. You can also take a look at the main conflict. How is it resolved? What can we learn from the conflict and its resolution? If everybody in the story learned something from the problem, then that could also be a venue to find the theme. You can also look for theme statements, and these are like a special treat if you can find this, because sometimes a character straight up states the theme of the text for you. So, little Johnny goes through a terrible experience, and then he goes, you know what, Mommy, I learned blank today. And whatever the fill in the blank of what little Johnny learned is, that could potentially be your theme. So anytime a character is having a conversation about what they've learned or is showing some sort of growth, that's really helpful for finding theme. Let's talk about topics, because in the beginning, like I said, often people come up with topics when they're trying to find a theme. If we start with the theme or the topic love, we can still turn it into a theme. So let's talk about the story love. Obviously the title is a hint here. So I thought about the evidence that was happening in the story. So in order to have a good theme, it needs to be supported by evidence from the text that you're reading. So I thought this was really well supported in Maxwell's story. Even the purest of love is transient. So transient means that it can't stay, that it isn't forever. Even though Miss Brown loved her students and her students loved her and they were children, it was a very pure love. They were, it was really innocent and sweet. No matter how wonderful it was, it ended anyway. It's kind of a dark theme because obviously her death changed the lives of these children. They lost a lot of innocence in the process, but even the purest of love is transient is one of the themes that I pulled out based on the evidence of what I read in the story. Now you may disagree with this. You may say, well, true love will live forever. Even after we're dead, we can be with our true loves. That's what makes a good theme statement. Because you can argue with it, that's really key. It needs to be an arguable opinion statement that the author wants you to learn. I actually came up with another theme that surrounds love in this story. And you can think about this. This is such a short story. Think how many potential themes there could be in something longer and more robust. So true love manifests in selflessness. So here I'm thinking of a couple of different characters. Primarily Miss Brown's aunt, who is taking care of her. We can infer that it's the aunt because she was living with her aunt and uncle. During her sickness, she takes very good care of her, tries to protect her. Even when the kids come, she's very protective. And it's dangerous for her to be around tuberculosis. She could have gotten it as well, but she still took care of her. After her death, she gains nothing from going to the grave and taking care of the grave, as the narrator imagines, but that selfless love of taking the flowers out and making sure it looks beautiful, even though no one is watching and no one is giving her anything back for it, I think that that is a manifestation of true love. You could also talk about Miss Brown and how she brings a lot to the students and she's very patient with them and she doesn't ask for a whole lot back. She really is just there for them. So those are two potential themes that I took from love. You can start with the topic of love, but you don't want to end there.